Hello everyone, this is Sorry and Target welcoming you back to the second episode in our Retro Carnivores review series. And today, we're taking a look at the sequel that redefined the franchise's legacy. Arguably the most well-known entry in the series and the first game I ever owned, Carnivores 2. Just like our first Carnivores review, we're going to be analyzing Carnivores 2 as thoroughly as we can, from the story to the designs, the gameplay mechanics, the lasting legacy, and any other elements that I can think of to include. So without further ado, let's begin. Despite its genre-redefining legacy, Carnivores never became an immense, multi-million-dollar breakout hit. But thanks to its good reviews, supportive fan following, and the popularity of Dinosaurs, a sequel was inevitable. And that sequel was Carnivores 2, released on October 31st, 1999, less than a year after its predecessor. Carnivores 2 fulfills the bigger is better stereotype of most sequels, featuring enormous open-world maps, 7 new prehistoric animals to hunt, in addition to those returning from the first game, and 6 powerful weapons, double the amount of sporting arms in the original Carnivores. In addition to expanding the world, Carnivores 2's slick new engine expanded the gameplay. Gone was the original's shallow ranking system, consumed entirely by the standard point system, as well as the ability to hunt as many dinosaurs with as many weapons as possible. From a gameplay perspective, Carnivores 2 shook things up tremendously and concreted itself as an iconic dinosaur hunting classic. It also scored about as high as the original with critics, but from a storytelling and world-building perspective, Carnivores 2 falls pretty far short of its predecessor's standard. The alien dinosaur hunting sequel's true strength lies in its new engine. Unhinged from the shackles of one dinosaur and one weapon per hunt, Carnivores 2 lets players hunt all 9 huntable dinosaurs with all 6 weapons, and introduced a new perk, double ammo, to keep hunts lasting longer than ever before. This was arguably the biggest flaw with the original Carnivores. Players could only select one weapon to hunt one dinosaur with, cutting hunts and explorations short. But Carnivores 2 did away with those restraints, and let players run wild. Being able to actively track down herbivores and carnivores in the same hunt led to wildly varying results, forcing hunters to develop new hunting tactics in order to react to different situations. Different hunting scenarios, of course, leads to different weapon necessities, depending on the situation, and Carnivores 2 lets hunters pack as many weapons as they think they'll need, from close combat self-defense weapons, to mid-range hunting arms, to long-range murder machines. In addition, the game's new engine supported enormous maps, with the locations in Carnivores 2 being almost 6 times the size of the Carnivores 1 locations, giving hunters so much more immersive world to track their new targets in. The new engine also supported more behind-the-scenes customization, allowing players to set their own technical parameters with new graphics, video, and audio options that were not present in the original game. And, lest we forget, the wonderful modding capabilities brought in with Carnivores 2. Now, this is not to say that the original Carnivores isn't moddable, but it's so restrictive and limited that it's really not worth the effort. Carnivores 2 is so much more technically expansive and modder-friendly. The introduction of the RES text, basically the brain of the game, allows players to make edits and mix things up, from adding new skins, models, sound effects, statistics, and so much more. The Carnivores franchise owes its survival to its first sequel, without whom there would be no modding community and no franchise sustainability. The amount of mods that have been created thanks to Carnivores 2's more open and technologically superior build, from simple RES edits and reskins to full-blown total conversion mods, are undeniably impressive for a 20-year-old game. And the members of the community continue to impress me every day by pushing the boundaries of the game's technology and their own creativity. However, the new engine did cut certain gameplay elements that I personally believe were better in the original. The Carnivores 1 ranking system, allowing hunters to progress and unlock maps, dinosaurs, and weapons from novice, advanced, and expert rank, was a very cool touch that provided an obsessively driven, self-satisfying reward system without distracting from the main theme of the game. It was shallow, but I always thought it would be great if expanded upon, throwing in more ranks and rewards, like intermediate or master rank, weapon and animal customization and variants, and other thematically appropriate rewards to keep players invested. However, Carnivores 2 scrapped the ranking system entirely, in favor of using only the point-based system, which has turned out to be a fine system, but I always felt there was more of a surge of dominance and victory by achieving the coveted expert rank, instead of just 500 points to hunt the T-Rex. Something else Carnivores 2, in my opinion, mistakenly did away with was the mortal zones on the animals. Strategic and skillful hunters could utilize weak zones on the animals, like hitting the dinosaur's eye, heart, or spine, for a quick and more realistic kill. Aside from the T-Rex, Carnivores 2 scrapped mortal zones in favor of a more balanced health system among the animals and weapons, meaning that no matter where you shoot a dinosaur, whether in the brain or the tip of the tail, it will take the same amount of shots to go down. This, to me, really lessens the impact and thrill of a hunt. Instead of trying to hit the animal's eye or heart as it charges at you, you're just counting off to make sure you pull the trigger the correct amount of times to reduce the animal's health to 0. It also basically cripples the sniper rifle, once the ultimate weapon for being able to hit small mortal zones with pinpoint accuracy. The sniper rifle now takes at least 2 shots for pretty much every animal, making it nothing more than a claustrophobic, slower firing version of the rifle. It's a very unfortunate immersion breaker that, thanks to modding, has been reintroduced, but should never have been removed in the first place. With the technical side of things so revolutionary and progressive compared to its predecessor, how do the world-building elements that made the first game so beloved hold up in the sequel? Unfortunately, this is where, as both a sequel and standalone game, Carnivores 2 slips into mediocrity. Even if technologically inferior, Carnivores excelled at setting up a rich, prehistoric alien world on which countless adventures could be had. From diverse jungles to haunted temples to alien dinosaurs ripped straight from 1900s paleontology, the world established in Carnivores was one of the most fascinating and unique of its kind. And despite its technical prowess, Carnivores 2 did little to expand upon that. The game boasts bigger maps, almost 6 times as large as those of Carnivores 1, but with all that extra room comes large spaces that need to be filled, and there just aren't enough ideas in Carnivores 2's think tank to keep these areas interesting. Certain maps do have unique landmarks and world-building elements. Delphia's Hills features an impressive swamp in the southwest, and an abandoned Dino Hunt archaeology outpost in the north. And the iconic Fort Siskin features many intriguing elements, from the namesake fort to an abandoned cabin in the woods, to open beaches and hidden caves, and even a replica of Stonehenge. But there's so much empty space between those landmarks, and some maps simply don't have enough going on to hold interest. Vengar Fjords boasts some gorgeous natural features, and Mount Ravan is one of the most diverse maps in the Carnivores universe. But they're all so simple and bare bones. They're just jungles, or swamps, or forests, and that's it. No secret temples, no hidden cave paintings, no supernatural or mysterious elements, nothing. From a thematic world-building standpoint, Carnivores 1 focuses on establishing and teasing the world left behind by the ancients, the previous sentient inhabitants of the dinosaur planet, where Carnivores 2 attempts to flesh out Dino Hunt Corp's modern impact on the planet, with archaeology outposts, dinosaur walls, and fallen forts, but it just doesn't do enough with that theme. Dino Hunt Corp did not take a more sinister, nefarious direction until Cityscape, and given how Cityscape itself even came to be, you really can't fault Action Forms for not setting up Dino Hunt Corp's inevitable demise way back in Carnivores 2, even though that would have been really cool to see. But they could have at least hinted toward the company starting to lean in some story-driven direction. Carnivores 2 feels very much like the reboots, Carnivores HD and Reborn in this regard, by shying away from the mystery and lore of the alien planet and focusing on just the hunting. Standard forest, standard jungle, standard dinosaurs, meaningless Easter eggs to please the fans, and that's all fine, but as the reboots have proven, you need a little something more for sustainability. The dinosaurs also feel very hollow and tacky. Of the 9 huntable dinosaurs in Carnivores 2, 5 are repeats from the original, and the new 4 do not feel wholly original at all. The Ankylosaurus feels very much like a literal replacement for the Pachycephalosaurus, taking a herbivorous dinosaur role that could easily be considered dangerous, and turning it into something that's just awkwardly skittish. We've beaten this dead Eohippus into the ground already, but the Chasmosaurus. Need I say more? In fact, I already have. If you want to hear my thoughts on the Chasmosaurus versus Triceratops debate, you can check out the link to this video in the description below. Even the 2 carnivores, arguably the best of the newcomers, feel tacked on. The Ceratosaurus is a clever role reversal for the Allosaurus, and the Spinosaurus, surprisingly enough, feels extremely modern and progressive for the franchise it's in. Remember, this is 1999, 2 years before Jurassic Park introduced Spinosaurus into pop culture. I mean, Spinosaurus was still being illustrated like this in books. Yet in Carnivores, a game where the dinosaur aesthetic is inspired by paleoart of the 1800s and 1900s, the Spinosaurus features a bipedal stance, horizontal build, and a crocodile-like head. The only thing off about it is its size, but on the whole, the Spinosaurus is surprisingly accurate for its time and place. Unfortunately, however, both it and the Ceratosaurus simply feature variants of the Tyrannosaurus idle animations for their own, and their in-game stats are exactly the same as the Velociraptors, giving them a very hollow copy-and-paste feel. The weapons all feel unique enough and serve their purposes. Carnivores 2 introduced a more diversified roster of hunting arms, including handguns, shotguns, rifles, and specialty weapons. Unfortunately, with the removal of mortal zones and the retreading of weapon rolls, 5 of the 6 weapons ultimately feel useless. The pistol is a terrible starting weapon. Weak, inaccurate, and apparently just as heavy as a shotgun when drawn. The pistol, I think, would have worked better as more of a secondary perk weapon, something you can bring with you on hunts for emergencies that does not take up a main weapon slot, kinda like the HD and Reborn revolver. To me, it's just not good enough to warrant using. The shotgun from Carnivores 1 was kind of devolved into 3 different weapons for Carnivores 2, 2 of which are the pump-action shotgun and the double-barreled shotgun. Both of these weapons are extremely powerful, but are very ineffective unless your prey is right on top of you. And since both of these weapons have to reload after every 1 to 2 shots, this makes using them at close range risky, since you might not finish that reloading animation before it's too late. The X-Bow returns from Carnivores 1 completely untouched, didn't even get any new arm models. The X-Bow is still the best of the starting weapons in my opinion. It's awkward to hunt with, but it's quiet and powerful, and rewards patience, a necessary virtue in hunting. The sniper rifle returns, mostly untouched from Carnivores 1. Unfortunately, the removal of mortal zones pretty much ruined the sniper's usefulness. Even if you hit the animal in the brain, you'll need a second shot to bring it down. And because you'd only ever use this weapon on animals that are already far away, you'll have to be quick to hit that second shot before they disappear beyond your view range. This really leaves just the rifle, the third weapon devolved from the C1 shotgun, as the all-around go-to weapon. The 3 weapons from Carnivores 1 each had pros and cons, allowing them to all balance each other out. The C2 rifle really combines all the best aspects of every weapon as the most balanced of the bunch, rendering the others pretty much useless. It's powerful on close and far targets, it has an extremely fast rate of fire without having to reload after every shot, and it's accurate on charging and fleeing dinosaurs. Once you unlock the rifle, the game's pretty much over, since unless you just really prefer another weapon on the list, the rifle will do its job better, and completely negate the use of any of the other Carnivores 2 weapons. Ultimately, Carnivores 2 feels more like an expansion pack for Carnivores 1 than a true, full-fledged sequel. Bigger maps, more dinosaurs, more weapons, and a more user-friendly engine provide a deeper sandbox to play around in, ultimately allowing the fans to create the stories that should have been told here. But that's just it. Those stories should have been told here, because Carnivores 2 fails where its predecessor succeeds. Bigger but emptier maps, copy and pasted dinosaurs, and more generalized hunting and progression mechanics really hamper this otherwise iconic game. I'd argue that Carnivores 2 is more popular than the original, especially among casual fans, for its technological prowess and expansiveness. And if you've never played the original, Carnivores 2 is indeed a great game. But it doesn't expand the world, just the hardware. It's unfortunate that Carnivores 1 succeeds where its sequel fails in storytelling, and that Carnivores 2 succeeds where its predecessor failed in gameplay. If only there were a way to successfully combine the two for the ultimate OG Carnivores experience. Despite this, Carnivores 2 still remains one of my favorite games of all time. I was 6 years old when I got Carnivores 2. I was, of course, obsessed with dinosaurs, so my uncle got me this cool dinosaur game called Carnivores 2 for my birthday. My family had a computer, one of those old blocky beige ones, you guys know what I'm talking about, and it had a couple of interactive dinosaur, games? I guess you could call them, on the computer, but nothing like this. I remember I was terrified to hunt the dinosaurs by myself, so I always had my uncle do the hunting while I anxiously watched over his shoulder and then ran out of the room when hunts got too scary. But I still loved it. It was great bonding time over a fun game about dinosaurs. Eventually, I worked up the courage to start hunting on my own. I had no idea how to move my player around. I could only pull up the pistol and spin around in circles. Eventually, I made my first ever kill in Carnivores, a Gallimimus. Impressive, I know. Then I figured out how to walk around and explore, and then hunt, and spent hours scouring every inch of the maps for new adventures. I remember how weird it was that the water disappeared when you turned on run mode, messing with the RES file to try and fix the Spinosaurus and Ceratosaurus sizes, experimenting with the different audio and video settings, and finally getting D3D mode to work after years of software mode. It was like playing a brand new game. I've said it before here on the channel, I'm an extremely sentimental person, and I have so much nostalgia for the Carnivore series, but especially for Carnivores 2, my first adventure in the franchise. I still have every bit of memorabilia, the tattered box art with the pop-out artwork, the instruction manual that has completely fallen apart at the seams, the WizardWorks Outdoor software collection and sign-up pamphlet, the CD-ROM itself, anything that came with my copy of Carnivores 2, I still own and cherish to this day. It means a lot to me. It was a very simple game for me to hop into and learn from, and I think that's why it's probably the most popular of the series. It's simple and fun, yet if you really want to get into it, there are worlds of new experiences from both a lore and technical side of things. Carnivores 2 may only be one half of the perfect game that is Carnivores 1 and 2 combined, but despite its problems, it's a game I will never forget, and remains to this day one of my favorite pieces of dinosaur media. So there you go, guys, I finally got to review one of my favorite games of all time. Feels pretty cool looking back on it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the review. What do you guys think of Carnivores 2? How do you think it compares to the original? What are your favorite memories of the Carnivore series? Be sure to let me know in the comment section below. And guys, thanks as always for watching. Thanks for your patience between videos, being understanding and supportive, and of course, for just sticking around and showing up whenever I upload something new. I am forever humbled that you guys enjoy watching my content, and as long as you guys do keep watching this stuff, I will for sure keep making it. The Carnivores community is stronger than ever thanks to us, and I plan to keep it that way for as long as I can. Thanks again for watching, guys. You are all truly the best, and I will see you guys next time. Also, can we just talk about how gorgeous this Carnivores 2 pop-out box art is? I mean, freaking phenomenal! To this day, one of my favorite pieces of dinosaur artwork ever. Wait, what's this? Oh, look what Ceratopsian even made it on the box art. Oh, unbelievable.